In this video, I'll be comparing Stepford County Railway and British Railway after their recent updates, namely version 2.3 of SCR and version 1.4 of BR. I've already done a video like this previously, so I won't be talking too much about things like movement physics and level of detail in this video. If you're looking for that and my overall thoughts on the main differences in the core between these two games, make sure to watch that previous video. Let's get right into it. Firstly, both games have received new branch lines since we last reviewed them. SCR got the Stepford Bay and Whitney Green lines, an extension making Connect go via Morganstown with new service patterns and other service pattern changes, while BR got the Brynmouth branch, the moving and rework of the Fair branch, the rework of the entire Millbridge main line, Norrington and other changes. In this area, despite how much I like SCR's new lines, BR blows out of the water with the detail and the much needed rework of Leeton Station. Aside from the still occasional signalling bugs, the BR network now runs much smoother in this area. The detail on the new lines is also amazing, namely the scenery on the Brynmouth line, especially during various different times like sunset, when this line looks truly amazing. In terms of SCR, while the rework of the entire Hampton-Hargate area is absolutely amazing, it lacks in one particular area that has been a complaint of mine in the last video as well, and that is optimization. Let's compare BR spawning at the new Millbridge sidings and SCR spawning at the sidings in the Morganstown Triangle, which I think is called Stoke Milton Cluster Sidings. Both spawns will be done on my PC with max graphics settings, so that everything is as equal as possible. As we can see, even in this 8-car long fully detailed flirt, spawning in BR is very smooth with barely any stuttering. So is pantograph activation and we're already moving. I'm just gonna pop into FreeCam really quickly to outline the amount of assets already loaded in. Please do note, I also have settings like detailed presence and suspension physics on. In SCR, the story is way different. Spawning in this 3-car 195, which is a much smaller train, we're greeted with so much lag it looks like we're playing on the International Space Station. By the time we wait and turn on our engines, the game has finally decided to load and we can take a look at all of the assets. It took a lot more effort to load a lot less assets at a lower quality. It's even worse on mobile, where I would completely advise avoiding Hampton-Hargate and this whole area, as depending on your device and graphics quality, it can become totally unplayable. While SCR has a higher player count and a bigger map, it is worth noting that this remains a player-side issue. British Railway definitely handles this much better than SCR. This also gives us a nice transition to the next segment, which is Realism and detail. So what are the games actually giving us in exchange for these long load times? Let's spawn a 5-car IET and find out. In BR, the 5-car IET, in this case the Class 800 in LNER livery, has amazing details. The train feels nice on the scale, you can go through it in FreeCam, the cockpit buttons work, and when switching to diesel mode, you get smoke and some decent engine noises. Additionally, you may notice other features such as meshed rails, detailed point workaround switches with guardrails, detailed bogies that turn as the train moves, and so on. Aside from that, in version 1.4 of BR, some roads also have moving cars and boats, adding additional complexity to the scenery with relatively zero optimization issues. This is really nice. In SCR, here we have a Class 800 at Famey Depot. I would have picked Stoke Milton, but I can't be bothered experiencing the loading lag again. The IT and the interior looks nice, especially with the unique Stepford Express livery. However, aside from that, the indoor buttons don't work, the scale feels slightly off, and obviously no FreeCam. The tracks also don't have that much detail, but SCR's tracks have definitely grown on me now, even with these decals under the blocks, rather than the full meshed tracks we can see in the prototyping center, for example. Overall, BR still definitely holds more detail than SCR. However, with the recent addition of power modes and pantographs in SCR, Stepford is no longer leagues behind like before. It's also very easy to see that both games have improved massively from release day, both in terms of content and the quality. Speaking of games improving through time, let's compare their two most recent versions, SCR's version 2.3 and BR's version 1.4. Both updates can be seen as game changers in their respective games. Both updates took a similar amount of time to produce. Both updates brought many map upgrades and new trains, and both updates have been greatly appreciated by their respective communities, as long as we don't count BR's signaling hiccups on day one. To 4th Rail's credit, they did release a patch relatively quickly, but the signaling is still fairly broken, and it actually tends to let regional trains go before intercity trains for some reason, which is completely insane and counter-logical. The whole point of an intercity is that it goes fast. It can't go fast if it's stuck behind a 142. Firstly, let's look at the amount of scenery reworks and changes. This will include new branch lines. In SCR we have the Stepford Bay and Tramlink branches, which are decent. Not much to say here. I like the way that Stepford Bay looks, but that's about it. It's the old classic SCR assets, but in a different form. However, aside from that, pretty much the entire main line, down from Beachley to Hampton Hargate, got upgraded, especially on the Morganstown line. These upgrades are primarily in the Beryley area and around Hampton Hargate, but it looks beautiful, if you ignore the terrible optimization. Unlike BR, SCR really hasn't been good with optimization since the airport update. In the Metro update, it was the core that wasn't optimized, and now, after the core seems to have been largely fixed, or maybe PCs just evolved, we have a new severe bottleneck in the whole Hampton Hargate area. It can lag from Greenslade and Benton as Hampton Hargate starts to load, and the stuttering is borderline game-breaking sometimes, and it really breaks the limited immersion SCR already offers. Now, the easy solution would be to lower the graphics quality, but that's besides the point. When comparing this lag to the airport area or the Lynn main line, it becomes very apparent just how horribly optimized Hampton Hargate is. Sure, the detail is incredible, but the gameplay is absolutely crawling sometimes. And do not make me comment on the dispatching and somewhat messed up track work around Hampton Hargate and Morganstown. I might be bashing the devs a bit too hard here, but seriously, it's hard to make sense of all these switches. The main line goes from quad to double, then passes Morganstown, then back to quad, then gets shuffled at Hampton Hargate, the platform assignment is sometimes random, and the singular dispatcher here really has their work cut out for them in a busy server. Now, onto British Railway. We got the rework of the entire Mill Bridge branch, the relocation and rework of the Fair branch, the new Brynmouth branch, and some other notable reworks. The main rework is Leeton, and this update is amazing in both scenery and the actual reworks. But there's one key thing weighing it all down, and that is the awful signalling. Unironically, I would have preferred the old signalling until the new one was more refined. Even now, about a week after release, as I'm writing this, it's relatively woeful. It frequently dispatches regionals in front of intercities, allocates 2 trains onto the same platform at once, just brakes for no reason so you have to spud it, won't let an IT go because a semi-fast is approaching on a completely unrelated lane at Forestdale, randomly refuses to let you go. It's just so many issues. And this is a week after launch. On launch day, it was even more horrendous. And again, to 4th Rail's credit, these severe bugs were mostly ironed out quickly on the day 1 patch. But seriously, how do you release an update where the entire mainline to Hulme Heath is set to 45 miles per hour on the fast line because someone, Ollie, forgot a speedboard? Not even Toby and his crack team of engineers could f*** up something like that. This might genuinely be one of the most buggiest releases I've seen from a Roblox train game. If they didn't react as quickly as they did on release day, I'd have compared it to Cyberpunk 2077, and we all know how awful that game was. But seriously, and this goes for both 4th Rail and SCR, please playtest your updates. A single day of playtesting with more than 5 people would have uncovered all of the signaling bugs and the mainline speed limit bug way before release. Apparently, the signaling was being worked on since the summer, as that's when we knew it would be reworked. How, in all of these months, do you not notice some of these bugs? If you're truly passionate about developing the game, what's the problem in getting like 15 or 20 devs around for about an hour of playing and just testing the game? They would have found out all of the bugs before release and they could have fixed them. Instead, the player base has to suffer and play through these bugs. And again, to their credit, they fixed it relatively quickly. But why did it even release in that condition? And additionally, regarding BR bugs, this is mostly a Roblox issue and not a BR issue, but the automatic graphics quality just broke during the update. It doesn't even stutter on max graphics, but if you set your graphics to automatic, Roblox will just have an aneurysm and would kill your render distance. Like, seriously, what's the point of playing on the new scenic Brynmouth and Fair branches when I can barely see the tracks in front of me, let alone the actual scenery? It's honestly ridiculous. As for the train upgrades and new trains, here BR absolutely kicks SCR to the curb. Technically, all SCR trains got upgraded with the power modes, but realistically, the only new additions were the 700 and 398. Wow, I actually managed to forget the Class 91. I apologize. The double variants of existing trains don't really count. Take a Class 385. Press Ctrl D. Move the new copy around a bit in Blender. Boom, that's 85% of the work done. All you have to do now is adjust the gangway, make some background code changes and add it to the UI. The Class 398 is a fairly detailed tram train, but the 700 is basically the 707, except it's slightly longer and it has some toilets. Aside from that, not much has changed in SCR. BR, however, added the Class 180 Adelante in great detail. Now, you'd think they could do this without any bugs, but no. Although I don't have any footage, multiple witnesses can confirm the wheels on this train moved in reverse on release. Honestly, that might have been an homage to just how annoying the Class 180 is with its reliability, as it was built by Alstom and it is a Caradia, and it does tend to catch on fire, and it does tend to break down, and many of its features are disabled because of how shit it is and stuff. But aside from that, this train is incredible. We also got the new Class 150, again a very detailed train, and the Class 230. These trains can now be picked from along with the Pacer for your noob train, although this does make identifying noobs slightly more difficult. These trains are both very well detailed from their interior to their liveries, and speaking of liveries, version 1.4 gave us over 30 new liveries, all of which are nicely detailed, and I really like the northern livery on the 150. The future of both of these games is interesting. For starters, SCR no longer really has a clear direction for the map expansions aside from maybe the Stepford loop. Everything else from Tramlink to Metro has already been completed, whereas BR has numerous branch lines poking out, like the long-awaited third rail line, the Malden Hill line, the hopefully soon to come airport update, and more. BR obviously also needs to add more trains, and my favourite pick out of the recent poll in the Discord server would be the Electrostars, especially because it would mean more southern trains coming to the game, whereas SCR doesn't really have much to do aside from optimizing and remeshing the fishbowls. I would say they should mesh the rails, but hey, they've grown on me. Overall, both of these games are good in their respective fields. They're both updating at a similar pace in terms of content, and they're both well refined. However, there will always be a large amount of players, including myself, debating which one is better. Personally, until BR's signaling gets fixed, I think SCR is better, although this could easily change, as 4th Rail is probably already working on version 1.5 or version 1.4.1, whereas SCR's devs apparently don't really have a plan moving forward. I do wish that at some point SCR changes its steering again, and I have to reiterate to 4th Rail, please, the next time you release an update, get your devs and game testers around and test it for even like an hour before release. The majority of 1.4's release day issues could have been avoided if you just did that. Thank you all for watching this video, and special thanks goes to my channel members whose names you can see on screen. They also get a day of early access to almost every video that comes out. Feel free to like, subscribe and join the Discord via the link in the description for more SCR content. Thank you once again for watching, and I'll see you soon. Goodbye.